48 teams, one trophy. And honestly, if you think more than 6 of them actually have a real shot at winning it, you're lying to yourself. The 2026 World Cup is the biggest tournament in football history. More nations than ever before, more upsets, more drama, more stories. But here's the thing nobody wants to say out loud. Most of these teams are going home in the group stage. So today, we're cutting through all of it. Every single nation, ranked, brutally honestly. No sentiment, no politics, no protecting feelings. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which teams are genuine contenders, which ones are going to surprise everyone, and which ones are making up the numbers. Let's get into it. Before we go nation by nation, let me explain how I'm ranking these. I'm not using FIFA rankings. I'm not just going off the last 6 months of form. I've been watching this game for 40 years, and what wins World Cups is a very specific combination of things. Squad depth, a system that holds under pressure, tournament experience, and something you can't measure: the belief that they belong there. That last one eliminates more teams than any stat ever will. I'm using 5 tiers. S tier, genuine winners. Teams where, if you told me right now they lifted the trophy, I'd say, yeah, that makes sense. A tier, serious contenders. Could go deep, could win it on the right day. B tier, dangerous outsiders. Not favorites, but capable of ruining somebody's tournament. C tier, making up the numbers, but they'll make it interesting. D tier, here for the experience. And there's no shame in that. Getting to a World Cup is the achievement for most of these nations. Right, let's start at the top. S tier, the teams I genuinely back with my own money. France. Look, I know what you're thinking. France always underperform. France have the talent, but bottle the big moments. And you're not entirely wrong. But this squad, this particular generation, has a ruthlessness that the 2022 version didn't quite have. Mbappé is at the peak of his powers. The defensive structure is better than it's been in years. And they have the one thing you need to go all the way, which is they know how to win ugly. France go in as my number 1. That might age badly. I'm comfortable with that. Portugal, post-Ronaldo era. And I know that sounds sad, but honestly, this Portuguese squad might be liberated by it. Vitinha, Bruno, a front line full of pace and creativity. They're no longer playing around one man's ego. Watch Portugal, quietly. Don't make too much noise about them, but watch them. They're S tier on talent. They might play like A tier when it matters. We've been here before. Not to forget, this might be Ronaldo's last World Cup. Who knows if they will be extra motivated to win it for him. Spain, the youngest squad of any serious contender. That should be a weakness. It isn't. Under the current system, Spain play a brand of football that physically exhausts opponents. They don't just beat you, they make you feel like you never touch the ball. 3 or 4 of their starting 11 haven't experienced major tournament and pressure at this level. That's the one thing I'd watch. But system beats talent at World Cups more often than people realize. Spain have the system. A tier teams I'd back to reach the semifinals minimum and win it if the bracket opens up. Germany, the rebuild is real. And I say that as someone who watched the 2018 and 2022 versions of Germany. Painful doesn't cover it. But Nagelsmann has found something. There's a clarity to how they set up now that was completely missing for almost a decade. The question is whether the young core is ready for the knockout stage, when everything slows down and margins become razor thin. Germany are always dangerous. Don't ever forget that. England. Right, look, I've been watching England at major tournaments since 1982. I know what England do. They start with promise, they create belief, and then somewhere between the quarterfinal and the semi, something goes wrong that you almost can't explain rationally. But this squad is different to every England squad I've watched. And I've said that before. The difference this time is the manager knows how to set up a team defensively first and build from there. England won't beat you 4-1, but they might grind you down to nothing on and take the penalty shootout, a tier, because the talent is genuinely there. And one day, they're going to stop finding a way to lose. Brazil, 24 years without a World Cup. That number haunts everything Brazil do in international football. But here's what I keep coming back to, and this might actually be the most technically gifted Brazilian squad since 2002. Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, the midfield options on paper, it's frightening. The problem with Brazil is always the same. They get tight. When the pressure peaks in a knockout game, they remember the 24 years, and that weight, you can see it on their faces. They're S tier on talent, but play like A tier when it matters. We've been here before. Netherlands. always underrated going into tournaments, always overachieve, always find a way to make it more dramatic than it needs to be. That's the Netherlands. A tier because they'll upset someone they're not supposed to. Piecer, the teams that make the group stage dangerous and the round of 16 genuinely unpredictable. Morocco, 2022 proved it beyond any argument. Morocco can compete with the best in the world. They reached the semi-final of a World Cup. They defended with the organization of a top European side, and they had belief that bordered on absolute conviction. The squad has matured since then. If they're drawn well, they go deep again. USA, home tournament, in front of their own crowd, with a generation of players who've grown up in the best leagues in the world. 3 or 4 years ago, USA in B tier would have been generous. Now, it feels about right, maybe even cautious. The crowd effect in a home World Cup is real. Hosts have won the tournament 6 times. Argentina. You'll notice Argentina aren't in S tier. I need you to understand this is a post-Messi era squad. They're not the 2022 champions anymore. They're a team in transition with the weight of being the defending champions and none of the individual quality that got them there. B tier is respectful. Some people would put them lower. Senegal and Côte d'Ivoire. I'm putting these two together because the conversation is the same. African football has never had better individual talent feeding into international teams than right now. Both squads have players performing at the highest level week in, week out in European leagues. The question was always the collective, the system, the organization, the belief at tournament level. 2026 might be the year one of them breaks through. I genuinely believe that. C and D tier teams will win a game because at least one upset make at least one fan base absolutely furious. Japan, South Korea, Mexico, always dangerous in the group stage, always finds a way to crash out in the round of 16, like clockwork, every tournament. Croatia, still. Don't write off Croatia. Modric is old. Croatia are still Croatia. Australia, remember 2022. Switzerland, the quiet destroyers of giant reputations. Ecuador, Colombia, Uruguay, South American teams that travel better than their rankings suggest. D tier the debutants, the returners, the nations for whom being here is the whole story. And I want to spend 30 seconds on this because we dismiss these teams too quickly. Some of these nations, the ones qualifying for the first time or after decades away, their entire country stops. Schools close. Presidents give speeches. People cry in the street. That's not nothing. That's what football is. And the 2026 World Cup with 48 nations for the first time has more of those stories than any tournament in history. Don't fast forward through their games. Watch the fans. Watch what it means. That's the part that stays with you, long after you've forgotten who won the final. Now, before I give you my final winner prediction, I want to tell you something that changes how you watch every single group stage game. There's a pattern in World Cup history that almost nobody talks about. The team that wins the tournament almost never tops their group. I'll say that again. In 7 of the last 10 World Cups, the eventual winner did not finish first in their group, which means the team your bracket writes off in week 1 might be the team lifting the trophy in July. Keep that in your head when you're watching. So, who actually wins it? My head says France. Best squad, best system, most tournament experience in the key positions. In a clean bracket, they get to the final. My gut says Brazil, because 24 years is a long time. Because Vinicius Jr. on the biggest stage in the world, with everything riding on it. That's a different animal to the Vinicius you watch in La Liga. And because World Cups have a way of choosing a team when the moment is right, and Brazil have been waiting for their moment for a very long time. My dark horse is Morocco. If they are able to qualify from the group stage, and if they set up the way they did in 2022, they could reach the final. I know how that sounds. I'm saying it anyway. The team I'm most nervous to watch is England, because if they actually do it this time, I've got 40 years of suffering to process in 90 minutes, and I'm not sure I'm ready for that.
Right.
That's every nation, ranked. 40 years of watching this game compressed into few minutes. Agree with me? Tell me in the comments. Think I've lost my mind? Tell me in the comments. Either way, the 2026 World Cup is less than a week away. And if this video made you even slightly more excited for it, we're going to have a brilliant time together. One more thing before you go. Next week, I'm going to show you the one tactical system that has defined every World Cup winner for the last 20 years and which team in 2026 has actually figured it out. It's not the team you think. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Because once you see it, every game you watch this summer will look different.